Hi guys, welcome. For those of you who are joining us, happy Saturday. First of all, I want to say that for those of you who've been watching me for a few years streaming, know that I do this regularly with a break through my late stages of pregnancy and early stages of my babies. But I must say, this subject that I'm going to talk about today, it really took something for me to stream about it. And yet I feel it's so important to talk about it and to share about it. So in case I will get a bit emotional today, or it's going to be a little bit different, then yeah, just please forgive me, and let's just go with that. Now, for those of you who are watching us or joining us either live or on the replay, there's probably no coincidence that you are joining us. And first and foremost, I want to say that you're probably joining us either because you had this kind of experience and you went through losing baby and miscarriage yourself, or you know someone who went through miscarriage, because this is what we are going to be talking about. We are going to be talking about miscarriage and miscarriages, and I'm going to be sharing my experience and my story with it, as well as I'm going to give you the best possible, if there is such a thing as advice in this kind of situations, but yes, this, the best possible from the bottom of my heart advice of what worked for me and many of my clients who unfortunately went through very similar thing. And I've got some good news for you as well, so please stay with us, bear with us. And if you know anyone who who is in this position, in this situation, please share this video with them, or share it anyway on your Facebook pages, because there is a lot of women who went through this and they just don't talk about it. They are completely alone, and I do believe that this video can make a lot of difference in their lives, and just share it purely for them to be able to hear about someone else who went through the similar experience, and to know that there is nothing wrong with them, that there is still light at the end of the tunnel. It can be huge emotional support, because emotions are very strong throughout this process. So thank you so much for watching us, for sharing, and for really sharing the love as well, for all those who you might even not know how you can really impact them in a very positive way, and maybe more than in just one way, as I'm willing to help them and support them even further. So welcome again. My name is Lucia Hoxa. I am a fertility mindset coach. I have been doing this work for 20 years. Specifically fertility, it's only last 4 years unofficially, and with women in general I've been working for last I think 15 years, last 20 years in field of coaching. Personal development is a big passion of mine. It's just kind of my DNA now. I don't think I can separate from it too much, and I'm very proud of it, because it is about asking ourselves, like, what else is possible in our lives? Is this it, or is there anything else possible? The kind of richer, the more coming from the more empowered space when we are facing challenges and difficulties in our lives, and daring to keep on dreaming things that we maybe even forgot about. But really, I think personal development for me and for many of my clients was mainly and most importantly the journey home. The journey home, I mean, to yourself, to your true self, because it's an incredible process and a very brave process. Eventually, the closer you get to you, how I call it, I believe the easier life gets. The more in flow, the more, kind of light-hearted you become, and the more pleasurable is to be with you. And also for people around you, you start attracting new possibilities to your life, new opportunities in your job, the pay, you know, the value of yourself when it increases, the value that you have and you can create, the financial situation changes. It's just incredible how this whole thing works. So yes, I'm absolutely in love with what I do and with all the support that I'm able to give to my women, whether it's fertility or, you know, any like relationships. I'm working with a lot. That's kind of my big passion as well. And you know, fertility is actually nothing, especially from mindset point of view, is really about removing the blocks and everything what is standing in our way in terms of our mindset, between you as a mom and your dream baby. And it's just incredible process, because really inside of this process miracles happen, and I'm always, you know, moved to tears when I can celebrate with you. So anyway, today we are going to be talking about miscarriage. And first, maybe before I start sharing about my own story with this whole process, I want to say that you know, I'm not going to talk about theory. I'm going to talk about what I created as a concept in terms of theory, but with practical, you know, examples, because I think that is actually what is going, where is the juice, where you are going to hopefully get something for yourself, something substantial, something that is going to, even if it's one sentence in this live streaming, that is going to ring the bell and go, oh, you know, that's new, or that's fresh, or I didn't think about that before, or oh wow, you know, I was trying to put it in words and I didn't know how, and now I got the words for it. Because that's one of the things that, you know, when I went through my own miscarriage, I found it really difficult to be able to put it in words, because the pain was so severe and I was not able to communicate it or describe it, or getting someone else to, I don't know, like imagine it, who didn't go through it. So anyway, so let's just start. Welcome. If you're joining us live, send hashtag live. And if you are joining us from replay, because I know many of you are kind of on holidays now and probably swimming somewhere on the sea, so, you know, send us a hashtag replay in the comments. And also please keep on being interactive with us throughout this whole thing, because you know, if you want to share in the comments, that would be amazing, because you can contribute with your question or comment to many others. If you feel a little bit like I prefer to, you know, ask this, or, you know, interact with Lucia in other ways, send me a personal message. I'm very happy to support you, or someone that you know that would be happy to be supporting in this area as well. So miscarriage, I mean, probably most of you know that miscarriage is actually what happens. It is the loss of a baby, and it is what happens when it is very traumatic experience, and it happens to women usually before their first trimester. That's what statistics say, although it sometimes happens even after first trimester. But pretty much, you know, when you are after your first trimester, you know, I can't say you are safe, of course, but like there is less likely that this may occur. A lot of times, you know, we feel, or at least I felt like there was something that I've done, you know, that was some, you know, I should not, you know, eat that food, or I should not, I don't know, made that flight, or you know, first what happens to a woman who miscarried baby, like first of all, it is an utter shock. That's what happened to me. My journey towards motherhood was very long, so when I finally got pregnant, I was like over the moon. I was thinking, well, this is it, you know, like it's amazing, my dream came true. And you know, you had that like happily ever after, I'm pregnant, it's amazing, you know, those 2 stripes. And doctor says yes, and it's amazing. It's your life changes in millisecond, and then you start looking for a baby, and you start imagining like how it's going to look like. You talk to your partner. It's very, very exciting, a little bit scary, because you're thinking, oh my god, now all this responsibility, but very exciting time of your life. And I must admit, although I knew about miscarriages and before, it was not at the back of my mind with my first pregnancy. It was not there, it was just, for me, it was like, wow, we made it. We made it. And so, especially with first pregnancy and first miscarriage, it is absolute and utter shock when it happens, because we don't expect it. We don't have that experience. We we, at least I didn't. I thought that's it. I arrived, So for me, how it actually happened, I tried to make it a little bit shorter because it was longer, but what started happening is that I think it was Sunday, and we've been just lying in bed with my husband, and just relaxing, and I started feeling very strange. And I remember it was afternoon, and I said to him, like, I'm feeling a little bit strange. I was like, I'm going to the toilet. And I went to the loo, and I remember I seen a little bit of bleeding, and it freaked me out. And you don't know what to do with these kind of situations. So so I said, I'm feeling weird. Like, I started bleeding. I started Googling, right? Like, and there was something I remember reading. There was something like, as long as it's not more than 1 cup of blood, you can be fine. Like, it's normal to bleed during the pregnancy. But it didn't kind of gave me a comfort. So we decided to, call the, I think the, not 999, but, like, not emergency, obviously, but we called the, just kind of hospital advice. And they told me pretty much the same, that don't worry and rest. But I still didn't feel okay. I started feeling not well. So we went to emergency, and we've been waiting there. It was in the UK for, I remember, about 8 hours. It was like a long wait till night. And I was very anxious. I was on the phone Googling, everything and anything about miscarriages and the symptoms and so on. Of course, it was fueling my anxiety even more. At the end of this wait, doctor took us in, and he told us he doesn't have a scan available. So all those 8 hours been totally wasted. But anyway, he said that we can come first thing in the morning on Monday. So we did that, and I went through the scan, and I remember there was this beautiful, Muslim young woman. Like, she had a gorgeous face. She was like an angel. And I was very scared where they been scanning, and then doctor said everything is fine, and they have a heartbeat, and the baby's fine, and comforted me to go home and be peaceful and just take it easy and rest. And I was over the moon. I was like, oh my god, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I said thank you about millions of times, like in my head and in my words, and I was like, okay, it was just little something, whatever, my baby's still here, it's always well. That was Monday, and by Wednesday I was doing the broadcasting like this, actually, guys. And during the broadcasting, I can't remember what was that broadcasting. It's probably, I really don't remember what I was doing it about, but I remember I was like, oh, just keep on breathing. I was during the streaming, like live, like this, I was already like, like trying to breathe and breathe and breathe, because I was feeling worse and worse and worse. And it was like, symptoms of the miscarriage, like when the baby is actually trying to, leave your body. Apparently those are like, you are having mini birth contractions, and I was experiencing that throughout the day on Wednesday. I think I was about nine weeks pregnant in that time, plus minus, probably plus, maybe. And And I was surprised with the severity of the actual physical pain. I didn't expect that. I was thinking, well, you just bleed and that's it. But no, it was actually, for me, it was actually really quite painful. And similar to my friends and clients, they also experienced, especially like after 9 weeks, maybe before, no. But a lot of them, 9, 10, 11 weeks, that kind of thing, we all experienced quite a lot of pain throughout this process. So that didn't help. Anyway, I finished the streaming. I called my husband. I asked him to come home. I just laid in bed. And then I started really, really bleeding. And but I still wasn't sure. And when I called the hospital, they said to me, sorry, we can't scan you every day. You have to wait for 2 weeks. And my mom was in utter shock, thinking like, oh my God, how can you wait for 2 weeks to actually find out what's going on with you and your baby? And I was like, I know, Mom, that's terrible. But I know this is going to sound really strange, but I so wanted to believe that it's just, deep inside, I think I knew, guys, and I think every woman knows, but I just felt like I could hold on to any kind of hope until they tell me, you know, the baby is gone. So I still kept on believing. Like next 2 weeks I was praying. I pretty much like prayed all the time, and I was breathing, I was healing my tummy, I was still in a pain, and I was holding on to baby. I was holding on to baby. I was holding on. And long story short, 2 weeks later we went through the scan. I'm writing more about it in my book if you want to read it, but because it's so hard for me even now to talk about it, and I don't think it's even important, I went through the scan, and first they couldn't, you know, they've been very, very quiet, very quiet. Doctor was scanning, very quiet. I hated it. My husband was behind the screen, and he looked kind of concerned. Later he told me he couldn't see nothing there. And then they asked me to go to the toilet, come back, that maybe, you know, my bladder is full, so that's why they can't see something. But surely enough, I was walking really slow. Anyway, this is a part where I find it still hard to talk about it, because and it, you know, is unnecessarily to come back to those details. It was extremely traumatizing for me. Anyway, I came back, and they scanned a little bit more, and all I could hear, and the last thing I heard was, I'm very sorry. And that was it. Both doctors confirmed the baby is gone. In that point I started screaming, I think, and that was it. That was it. I lost my baby. There was no hope left, and I was in shock. I was crying a lot. I couldn't stop crying. I think it was whole day, all night. I didn't sleep. I was crying, and then I went in a hallway, and I was so weak. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. After 3-4 days, I one night I fall down on my knees, and I just lied there on the carpet in a hallway in my house, and I didn't want to get up. I didn't feel like, what's the point to get up, you know, like what's the point to keep on going after 10 years trying for a baby? You get pregnant and you lose the baby. It was just too hard for me. And my husband was feeling so hopeless as well. He didn't know what to do with me. He didn't know how to help, what to say, what would make things better. The truth is, there was absolutely nothing anyone could do for me. It's just time, you know. It needed time, a lot of time. It needed me to relieve and process these emotions. Like, I felt like, you know, when I used to live in Africa, we used to hear the lions, and there was one lion who lost his brother, and we heard this screaming, like loud crying of the, you know, this brother lion who, you know, lost his brother. And that was me, you know, that was me, like crying, screaming, in a pillow, wherever I could. That was me. And it was very, very important and very big part of this process, the grieving process, because you know, the hard thing about miscarriage is that you're grieving after your baby you never had a chance to meet, you know, to cuddle, to see how he or she looks like. And it's really hard to explain to someone, because you know, people who didn't go through it, and many people, even doctors, you know, they are just talking about embryo, or they are talking about few cells that just got to happen to get together and grow. But you know, to us mostly, you know, and especially if you are intuitive woman and feel her body and spiritually kind of based, that's a soul who lived in you. Like I remember I was by the point I lost my baby knew everything about me, you know. I was talking to him, or well, in my case it was him. And you know, I told him everything about daddy, about how we met, all the story, how much we love him and what we are going to do. You know, I planned all my life, all my future with my son. And so for me it was a person, it was a soul, it was a baby. It was, nobody could tell me any different. And it was very hard to let go. And I remember, you know, they gave me option after this miscarriage whether to, you know, whether I wanna take some pills, or you know, like they need to check me whether there's anything to clear up. And I said, no, I want my baby to leave naturally. And then I went for a checkup, and they said, you still got a HCG almost at the level when the baby was with you. And I think what happened is that I didn't want to let go, guys. That's how powerful the mind is. I didn't want to let go of my baby. And the nurse said, we never seen anything like this. Like, this is like 2 weeks after miscarriage. And your HCG levels, the hormone which is showing whether you're pregnant or not, are almost the same. And yeah, and I was bleeding, and in that point, you know, I think it was 2 weeks later, I just finally, I felt so ill and so sick. I knew I need to let go, so I did. And that's when the baby came out, and that's when I was starting to bleed a lot. And that's when I started to heal physically, slowly getting better. Emotionally, it took much longer time. So let me share with you maybe something that was, I mean, the loss of the baby is such a huge thing, and nothing really can make a huge difference to you. But I'm going to still share with you what I think that can, like short term and long term, what made actual difference to me and to my clients as well. First of all, you know, I'm going to say that if you are by chance going through this now, or anyone who is going through this now or went through it recently, guys, I promise you, even if you are in the darkest place possible, I promise you it's not going to last forever. Like nothing, even this horrible pain is not going to last forever, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, even if you don't see, like, there's total black, I had that too. Nobody, like, if somebody said to me, don't worry, you will have a baby one day, I wanted to kill them. Like, not even punch them in the face, I wanted to kill the person who said that. There is a lot of emotion going through, and it's very normal. So the emotions that I kind of recalled, it was tremendous grief. It was tremendous grief, which I mentioned, very obvious. Hopelessness, because it was not in your hands. And the guilt, because you are thinking, you're trying to recall any kind of situation, any kind of thing that you could have done differently, better, not to do things, not to eat those things, not to go there, not to skip, not to get too excited, you know, is not relevant, guys. Like, you know, if like later on, I realized that this guilt is, we go there naturally, we blame ourselves, or, you know, our thoughts maybe even, But the truth is, like, the baby, if the baby is meant to be with you and stay with you, you can go and run marathon. I mean, it's not that I advise it, obviously, but you know what I'm trying to say. You can do anything and you cannot do anything wrong, and the baby would stay and be born and happy and healthy. So, but yes, there is a lot of, you know, guilt that we go through. There is a huge amount of sadness, and I dare to say there is a sadness that cannot be described. Is almost impossible for this sadness to be expressed. And it's one of the pitfalls of going through emotions of miscarriage, that the sadness is so great that, especially for partner to understand it, like he's going through his own grieving process and sadness, but woman's got it like different because she's going through physical aspects of it and the baby was part of her body. I think, like, in some point I even like gave up on trying to explain like what I feel. Like, I wrote a journal, and that was helping me to release like some of the thoughts, but it is fairly impossible to put in words. So you're going through that, you're going through anger. Like, I remember when we been coming back from the hospital, I opened the door from the car to get out of the car eventually, and the first thing I saw was a pregnant woman, like heavily pregnant like this. And I just remember looking up in the sky and I was thinking, just fucking bring it on. Like, you know, I'm like a complete wreck, and do I really need to, you know, I was talking to God, like, do I really like need to see this right now? But yeah, sooner or later you will. And actually at the time when I miscarried my baby, I was living in a household with my family, with my husband's family member, with his 7 months pregnant wife, and so I saw it every single day, you know, like in front of my eyes. It was very, very tough. You are going to very naturally feel jealous, and you're going to feel jealous about women who are able to have a babies, who are already mothers, or, you know, like, it's going to be hard to watch other babies. Chances are it is going to be hard for you, and please don't blame yourself for it. Don't feel like you're a horrible person for being jealous. You're just human. You're just being very, very human, and you're just feeling and experiencing a lot of pain and hurt. Okay, so grant yourself, and I think short-term advice for you guys is, ladies, is grant yourself to experience and release all these emotions. Of course, in a safest possible environment, especially anger one. Because those are intense feelings, and I would say also like that intense feelings of loneliness. Because the truth is, no one can help you. I say no one, but I'm going to in a minute say a little bit more about that. But the core, the main person who can help you is you, and it takes time. Many people don't talk about miscarriages or losses. Like, it's almost like it never happened. And going through it myself and seeing what happens to women who just bottle it down, like, you know, putting a cork on the top of something. Well, what happens with the champagne bottle when it fizzles a little bit, because life moves you, and is the metaphor of fizzling with a cork on the top, well, it's going to do pop in some point. And so I'm not, I don't think it's right to bottle it down and to never to talk about it again, because it is like is nothing in a bottle. There are bubbles there, and they are going to fizzle is nice word for it, but you know what I'm saying. So it is very difficult. If you can't talk about it from the beginning, it's fine, but the moment you are able to open up and start expressing what you feel, it is important to start doing so. Whether it's like support groups where you feel like you are, supported, or is a grieving counselor or therapist, or is someone like me, fertility coach, and it needs to be someone who you trust fully, and who is going to be profoundly, there for you, without judgment, without interruption, without, just being real stand for you to not only heal from this experience, but also, what I love to do with women is for this experience to empower them in such a way, eventually, that they will come out from the other end and they will be able to cause miracles. As the main and the biggest, best news and good news of this streaming, for those of you who went through miscarriages and don't have that happy story yet. Don't set yourself like time frame, and set yourself a time frame. I explain what I mean by this. Like, let yourself to grieve, give yourself a time, but there will be a point, or at least for me there was a point where I was kind of done with grieving. Like, I had no more tears. I kind of like, almost like I got fed up with not fed up with myself, but I had enough, and I was not ready to like move on. That was not the case yet, because that came much later, but I was ready to kind of go to next phase, which for me was just be in a silence and to do the simplest things in my life, and slowly like start rebuilding relationship with myself, because I think that's where I done research about this thing before we've been streaming it. There's not many articles or people talking about actually one of the most important things in this grieving process is to rebuild the trust and relationship with yourself. Because when I was pregnant, I was so gentle with myself. I was carrying this baby inside me, and I felt like like I was eating well, I was doing all the right things, I was surrounding myself with the beautiful things, because there was someone else, not just me, who I wanted to be well, and and there was more than just me. There was no longer just me to be happy and to take care of, and it was just the most happiest time. And then suddenly when baby was gone, I was like, I don't care what I eat, I don't care what I do, I don't care. I stopped looking after myself. Like, I felt guilty, I felt, what's the point? I was binging, I was smoking, I just let, whatever will be. I was just like that. And it was important, I think. But in one point, like I needed to get fed up and done with that as well, and say, okay, now it's really, really time for me to slowly, like rebuilding my relationship with myself. And I did. So it is possible. It's a work in progress, but it's very possible. So allow yourself to express your emotions, and rely on friends and family members, but please choose responsibly. You will know, like in your gut feeling, you will know who is the person who you can speak to, someone who is, and maybe even like say to the person, like, look, I don't want to advise, I don't want, especially men have a tendency to give advice, but even women, right? Like, they mean well, but advices in this thing don't work, especially from someone who didn't go through the experience or similar experience. So just maybe at the beginning, just tell them, well, all I want you just to listen and just to kind of be there for me, and maybe just in silence, like feel your presence, or maybe a hug. That's what I need right now, rather than advice or some kind of future planning. It's too early for all that. Find a support group. I've got support group myself. It's called Journey Towards Motherhood. Many of you maybe know about it or are in there. This group has been running for many years, and it's got kind of life on its own. women also post anonymously. A lot of women are already moms and have a babies, and that they are now supporting women who are still on their journey. It's a very loving place, and I'm so glad I established this group at very beginning, like, of my IVF journeys, like years ago, when I was sharing very authentically my daily journey. Like, I was doing videos through my IVF and injections and test results and all this crazy stuff I done, because I felt like no matter how my journey is going to go, whether I'm going to be mom or not at the end of this, I felt that if I make a difference to one woman, sharing authentically, because that's what I was missing, then that's good enough for me, you know, like, if I make a difference to one person. So my pain is not just a stupid thing, that at least I make some difference to people. And it seems like we keep on making difference to people. So thank you for those of you who are on the platform. Again, it's called Journey Towards Motherhood. I will put a comment in the link after the live streaming, so you can find it. Another kind of thing, like, for those of you who are like intuitive, there is a lot of spiritual healing that can make a tremendous difference in your healing journey, whether it's meditations or other kind of spiritual, you know, some people go to church, God, you know, prayers, but in your own authentic way, you know, like healing on a sunshine, walks in a forest, whatever works for you. Is important to find that way that works for you. Yeah, very important. And yes, talk to therapist, coach. You know, don't be alone. Please don't be alone, and don't feel like you have to be alone, because there's many ways how you can, you know, reach out whenever you're ready. And please, you know, just trust that there are some genuine people who love you and would love to, you know, make a difference to you and make it so much better, because there is a light on the other side, and I'm the living proof of that, having a little twins now. So, you know, and then there is a long-term recovery, which is a longer process, like being patient with yourself, giving yourself, again, you know, I emphasize that time, and also, you know, take care of your physical body, right? Like, talk to your doctor, you know, about later on about options. You know, if this was in UK, first 3 miscarriages are considered as a normal thing. Believe it or not, guys, I was shocked with this, but yes, they don't even, like, you know, question anything or do any tests. But after 3rd miscarriage, they start looking at the, you know, genetics of the embryo. You are able to find out more about what actually went wrong, if there is a physical side of it. Sometimes it's just, it wasn't meant to be, and nobody knows why actual miscarriages, you know, happen. Nobody really, I mean, there's pretty much not much that can be found about this. Sometimes it's to do with your immune system, thinking about the baby being actual, like, you know, external, I don't want to use that word, but, you know, something external that doesn't belong to you, so the body is literally trying to flesh it out as a, you know, dangerous object. But, you know, like, unfortunately in UK at least, you can only find out after 3 of these miscarriages when they start looking at it. So take care and give yourself time to really care about your physical, mental, emotional well-being. Very important. And very important to have someone who will take you through the process, because it is very process, because the chances are, if you don't have someone who supports you, the process is much longer, and it can impact your future pregnancies. I mean, I must tell you guys, to be very honest, like, my next pregnancy was also, you know, I was anxious. I don't think anyone who had a miscarriage can go into next pregnancy like, yeah, of course, everything is fine. You know, you always have that at the back of your mind, but it's very important not to feed that, and not to have that experience to impact your next experience and the baby, which already feels you as a mother from the day, you know, from the first 2 cells that join together. So it's very important to process it before, like, far before your next pregnancy, and also to provide the clearing, which I call, you know, clearing is like opportunity for next pregnancy to for when you are ready. I must say, no other pregnancy can completely relieve, like delete the loss. Like, I still think about my baby boy. I still, you know, remember every year, you know, what kind of his soul, and I reconnect. I still got a candle. I've got a memorial for him. We buried him together with my husband in beautiful bluebell field. And if I'm very honest, like the time when I had when I really was able to let go and just kind of complete this, I miscarried in November, and the time, end of November, and the time when I was able to let go was a new year, but not that new year following, so not December, but December after that. And that was when I completely, I mean, it was getting better and better, but really that's when me and my husband, like, we released you know, balloon to the sky, like one of the fire balloons, and that was our way to say our final goodbye. That's how long it took for me personally. It was a very long process, but it was the process I needed to go through, and that's how it went for me. Like, for other women it's sooner, for other women it can be even later than that. So please, you know, give yourself a time and to heal on all the levels. Now, I hope there's a lot more, of course, to share, to say about all these things, but guys, I want to give you a space to kind of ask any questions if you have any in the comments. If you went through anything like this and you would like to support other women, and you do have a happy story, I would love to hear that one. Also, if you want to share it in Journey Towards Motherhood, which is a closed Facebook group where nobody else is but us. I very selectively actually choose people who belong to this group, and anybody who is not supposed to be there is not there, because I really want to keep it very safe, because it's very sensitive subject to talk about, the actual journey towards motherhood and the infertility and so on. But you're very welcome to invite your friends, or if you are on this journey yourself, we welcome you literally with open arms there. And yeah, towards the end, I just want to say, please don't be alone, and know that there is a way to get through this. There is no coincidence, and please don't take this as a punishment. I know it feels that way, that is a complete like punishment, why it happened to you, and or maybe happening to you, and it seemed that way. It really seemed like, you know, God doesn't love us or something, if you believe in a God or universe. But the truth is, it was one of the hardest experiences of my life, and now looking back, it really taught me to be so much more, you know, humble, to value life so much more, and to obviously enjoy and love my children, and appreciate the fact that I'm a twin mom now. Guys, there is no day, there is no moment where I would just take it for granted. Really, like, or maybe there, okay, that's a lie. There are moments where I lose the plot because they are driving me crazy. But there is no day, I'm just hearing my baby coughing now. I will go in a minute, they are up now. But there's no day when I wouldn't several times acknowledge that they are a miracle. They are my miracle, and they came out of my strength and my unbelievable capacity to, just like it's written in my book, like fight with love, you know, fight for love and for miracles to be possible. And miracles are possible. And my main message from this streaming is that there is a light, and it really is possible for all of us. Like, one way or another, you are going to be a mother. And what I want to say is that the chances are, because your journey was so traumatic and it had a moments where you had to hold on for dear life like me, the chances are you are going to be extraordinary mother. You know, all the moms are great, but you know, because of this journey, I believe that it makes us to, you know, to grow, to expand, to become better human beings, more conscious, more aware, more loving, more open-hearted. And because we understand how painful it can be, how long was the process, and how miraculous it is on the other side, or to be on that side and then to hop on the other side. And you know, there is something amazing that is ahead of you if you only stay being truth and committed and keep on finding the ways. And maybe one of the important things to do is to allow yourself to be supported. So please, I beg you, don't be alone. Reach out, even if you send just a little message to me saying, Luz, you know, this resonated with me, or this was my story, this happened to me, this is how I feel, this is where I'm at. You know, I would love to chat with you. You know, I've got a couple of slots still before my holidays. It's like 20-minute conversations where you can have with me. Please reach out if you would like to do that. I'm here for you. I feel you. I love you. And for now, I'm going to say bye-bye. Have a great rest of the weekend, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing this video if you feel that there's someone out there who it can make a difference to. And again, lots of love to you all, and baby dust to all of you on your journey still.